Hey everyone, welcome to another week, another Monday. I hope you are excited and looking for new opportunities this week. I just want you to be looking for and taking hold of the opportunities that are presented to you. Today, I titled this Judging and Loving. And I want this to be, if you haven't already got an opportunity this week, um, I want to give you an opportunity this morning to view things from a little bit different perspective. I prepared this, and then, hey, Lisa, glad you're able to be on this morning. I prepared this, and then and we're going to go into Luke here in just a minute. But I ran across something about a half hour ago. It was one of those Facebook memories that pops up, and it was from 3 years ago. And I had shared 1 John 4:20, and that says, "Anyone can say, 'I love God,' yet have hatred toward another believer. This makes him a phony. Because if you don't love a brother or sister whom you can see, how can you truly love God whom you can't see?" And the caption I put below this was love people where they are and not just the ones that are where you think they should be. God's love doesn't stop at the doors of a church building, but should be carried everywhere by the people who bear his image. The overflow of God's love in your life should be sloshing out all over the people you encounter and be done without regard to appearance, action, or lifestyle. And around unedited life, we would just say, spill out, right? This is something that we just spill out. We'd spill out the love of God, and this that kind of leads into what I want to talk about today: judging and loving, and particularly the sections out of Luke 6, love your enemies and judging others. And I want to take these and I want to flip them around today, and I want you to be um, looking toward yourself. And this was the idea of turning these around was born out of a conversation um, where someone was judging a lot about what's good, what's bad, right, wrong, that type of thing. Not necessarily about others, but about themselves, about what it is that they have going on in their life. And when we're constantly focusing on um, what's right, what's wrong, good, bad, and judging those things, we're continually eating from that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is not what we're supposed to be doing. There's really only one thing you should be judging, and that's judging yourself worthy of love. And so I want to take these ideas of loving your enemies and judging others and flip them back around on ourselves. Because if we are not judging ourselves worthy of love, then we're setting ourselves up as an enemy, right? We're setting our own selves up as our own enemy. We will self sabotage and just set up all these different things that keep us down because we aren't rightly judging ourselves worthy of love. So we'll jump in here, Luke 6, we'll start reading in verse 27. It says, "But if you will listen, I say to you, love your enemies and do something wonderful for them in return for their hatred. When someone curses you, bless that person in return. When you are mistreated and harassed by others, accept it as your mission to pray for them. To those who despise you, continue to serve them and minister to them. If someone takes away your coat, give him as a gift your shirt as well. When someone comes to beg from you, give to that person what you have. When things are wrongly taken from you, do not demand they give them be given back. However you wish to be treated by others is how you should treat everyone else." And this is such an interesting thing to me because Paul talks about we are not fighting against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the air, uh, not other human beings. That is, other human beings are not our enemy. And when we set them up in our mind as an enemy, other people, we're not going to treat them well. We're not going to be generous. We're not going to be loving. We're not going to be caring. And we do those same things to ourselves. We'll look in the mirror, we'll point out flaws way before we'll see anything of value or anything good. And this is something that we have to change. In that the whole idea is love your neighbor as yourself. If you don't love yourself well, and we've talked about this before, you're not going to be able to love your neighbor well. You're not going to be able to pray for them when they mistreat you. Right? They are not your enemy, and you are not your own enemy. Right? You have to, again, judge yourself worthy of love. Goes on in verse 32. Lost my place here. Oh, there it is. 32. Are you really showing true love by only loving those who love you back? Even those who don't know God will do that. Are you really showing compassion when you do good deeds only to those who do good deeds to you? Even those who don't know God will do that. If you lend money only to those you know will repay you, what credit is that to your character? Even those who don't know God do that. For me, that's a big ouch right there. That's one of those things that, like, am I showing true love only to those that are going to show up to me back? If that's the case, I am not displaying the love of God. I am not a good representation of Jesus. I can't just be showing love to people who are only showing it to me back. I have to be able to, again, look at everybody as a new creation. Right. And that makes it, and when you do that, that makes it a lot easier to love somebody regardless of their actions, appearance, behaviors, any of that, because we can see past all that into who they really are, whether or not they realize that reality or not. It goes on, but love your enemies and continue to treat them well. When you lend money, don't despair if you are never paid back, for it is not a loss. You will receive a rich reward, and you will be known as true children of the Most High God, having his same nature. For your Father is famous for his kindness to heal, even the thankless and cruel. Show mercy and compassion for others, just as your heavenly Father overflows with mercy and compassion for all. When I see the word all in the Bible, I will circle that, because I have to be reminded, and I need to remind myself, all means all. Regardless of what is presented to me in the natural, I have to be able to see past that. I have to be able to see the new creation. I have to be able to see that person who is co-seated with Christ. And like I was saying before, we have to be able to turn that back on ourselves too. You have to be able to see yourself as a new creation. You have to love yourself. You have to love who it is God has made you to be. You look in the mirror, don't point out the flaws. Celebrate the gifts. Celebrate what he's put in you to spill out to other people. In verse 37, Jesus goes on, he says, forsake the habit of criticizing and judging others, and then you will not be criticized and judged in return. Don't look at others and pronounce them guilty, and you will not experience guilty accusations yourself. Forgive over and over, and you will be forgiven over and over. Verse 38, give generously, and generous gifts will be given back to you, shaken down to make room for more. Abundant gifts will pour out upon you with such an overflowing measure that it will run over the top. Your measurement of generosity becomes the measurement of your return. We've been talking about kingdom principles around finances. And last week we talked about unlocking those principles, and the activation with that is generosity. And right here, Jesus is talking about give generously, and generous gifts will be given back to you. Right? When you sow something, you can expect a harvest back on that, regardless of the resource that you're sowing. Time, money, whatever it is, you can expect a return back on that. Shaken down to make room for more. Abundant gifts will pour out upon you with such an overflowing measure that it will run over the top. Your measurement of generosity becomes the measurement of your return. In this is something that is in the section talking about judging others. Right? So generosity isn't just about finances. You have a resource of celebration also. You have the resource to celebrate others and lift them up and bring them up higher. Right? And that's the measurement that you will have in return. Be generous with the praise and the celebration. Be generous in calling out the gold in others. It doesn't mean you settle for mistreatment. And that's not what I'm saying here. Right? There is a call to pray for them when you're mistreated, to serve and minister to people, even if they aren't treating you well. But I'm not saying that you have to accept that. What I am saying, though, is be generous with your praise. Be generous with your celebration as well. I find it very interesting that Jesus stops and talks about giving generously, and generous gifts will be given back to you in right here when he's talking about judging others. Right in the middle of that is this. So there has to be another resource that's flowing out of you, which is celebration. In verse 39, Jesus also quoted these proverbs. What happens when a blind man pretends to guide another blind man? They both stumble into a ditch. And how could the apprentice know more than his master? For only after he is fully qualified will he be at that level. Why do you focus on the flaw in someone's life and fail to notice the glaring flaws in your own life? How could you say to your friend, "Here, let me show you where you're wrong," when you are guilty of even more than he is? You are overly critical, splitting hairs, and being a hypocrite. You must acknowledge your own blind spots and deal with them before you will be able to deal with the blind spot of your friend. Again, this goes back to generously celebrating others, right? We don't pretend to guide somebody if we aren't turning that back on ourselves. Again, this is the whole point of what I want you to take away today, is that you are worthy of love, and you have to judge yourself worthy of love. Right? It's got to start there. If you can't judge yourself worthy of love, you're not going to be able to love your enemies. You're not going to be able to stop judging people. You're not going to be able to stop judging right, wrong, good, bad, all of that. Start with judging yourself worthy of love and let it stop right there. And then go out and celebrate people. Go out and pull the gold out of them. There's an interesting story that I see floating around on social media from time to time, and it's attributed to Albert Einstein. And he's teaching, and he writes on the board, 1 times 9 is 9, 2 times 9 is 18, all the way down to 10 times 9. And the answer that he wrote there is 91. And he had all the rest of them right, but that last one was wrong. And the story goes that the students started laughing and pointing out, "Oh, he got that one wrong. This genius got this simple math problem wrong." And the whole point of what he was trying to show them is that we are overly critical and that we are so quick to point out the one flaw that we forget to celebrate the other 9 victories, the other 9 times where he was right. And this has got to go again back to yourself. Don't focus on the failures. Don't focus on the negatives. Don't focus on those things. You want to learn from them, extract what you can from them, and grow. But celebrate all of the victories. Because chances are, if you look throughout your day and you count the number of times that something goes wrong, and look at the time period of that based off all the things that go right throughout the day, and all the victories that you have, those are going to far outweigh the negatives. If for whatever reason we want to turn and focus on those, we want to set ourselves up as an enemy, judge ourselves uh, bad or wrong or right and good, whatever it is, when we need to be celebrating and judging ourselves worthy of love. So that's it. That's what I got for you today. And that is what I want you to walk away with and move into your week, is celebrating the victories. I want you to be able to look in the mirror and honestly say that you can judge yourself worthy of love. All right. Have a great week. We got a lot of stuff going on with Unedited Life. Check out the website, uneditedlife.org. Okay. And we got a calendar on there. We got a bunch of stuff on there. So check it out. All right. Have a great week.